So for those of you who have never heard of TextExpander, oh, it's so good. This is another one of those tools that I use multiple times a day, probably like 15 to 30 times a day. So it's called TextExpander. It's an application that you download onto your computer, and it basically lets you swap out blocks of text. So you can have keyboard shortcuts that will like pop in blocks of text with variables. So I'll just give you an example. I just did an otter recording, and that otter recording I want to embed into a Slab knowledge base post. In order to do that, I need to have some embed code, but I don't want to keep typing the embed code in every time I want to embed otter. I just want to be able to quick do it. So the first thing that I'm going to do in TextExpander is I'm going to drop in the embed code, but I need to put in a variable, which is the actual URL of the otter recording that I want to embed. And so what I do here is I drop in the embed code, and then I go to the frame source, and I say fill in single line field, and I call this otter code. All right, so now I need to give this a shortcut. So let me see, like OE, otter embed, comma OE. Now I put comma here, right here, because I don't want it to pop this up every time I type OE as 2 characters on my keyboard. So if I was saying like, DOE, doe, then it would pop this up. So I put a comma with like a 2-letter abbreviation, because in my regular typing, I never type comma, then 2 letters. There's always a space after a comma. So I know this will never pop up unless I mean it to. I hope that makes sense. Now I've got this ready to go. So I'm gonna close this, and I'm gonna go and I'm gonna copy this link for the actual otter URL. Now I'm gonna go over to Founder Culture where I want to embed this, and I'm gonna type comma OE, and then boom, there it is. Here is the TextExpander pop-up. So it's right here. And now you can see there's a spot for the otter code. I just type Command V, which is the otter code that I just copied, and I press enter, and then boom, there it is. It popped open the embed. So good, so good, so highly recommended. I use TextExpander for everything. Like I always am typing kb.founderculture.net. Instead of retyping it, I just do comma F, comma GF. And that's go.founderculture.net. Sorry, it's the go.founderculture.net. So like I do comma GF, it pops in go.founderculture.net, and it'll pop it in anywhere, in a URL bar. I could pop it in like right here, comma GF, like anywhere on my computer where I type comma GF, whether it's in an email or anywhere, it'll pop in that text replacement. So good, so good. All right, ciao.